Imagine you get lucky and end up living in the best neighborhood in your city. But then, wars break out because of a pandemic and gang chaos, and the rich are the ones living in the most fear. For sure, on that day you'll be like, man, I wish I was just living a simple life with people who know each other and have each other's backs, so I wouldn't end up like in that show. To the Lake is one of the disasters and thriller series that came out in 2019. It starts with someone walking through a snow-covered forest. Then, he encounters a blood-soaked creature that starts to eat him. The director is showing you that this is the beginning of the disease that will spread, so you're in the loop with us. Then we see Sergey, our protagonist, sleeping next to his wife. The alarm rings and wakes them up. She tells him, "Don't get up, just stay." But he says, "Sorry, I promised I'd see my son." We find out that this is his second wife. Then he goes to play with his son, and they have a blast, flipping around and doing everything. After a while, his wife keeps coming in and scolding them, asking her own mom, "Why are you leaving the kid with him?" She told her, "Come on, this is his son, I can't keep him away." She replied, "We have a court order. He can see him only at specific times and under supervision. All the women on TV and in online groups tell me that." As she's taking their son away, the dad opens the trunk to grab something. He asks, "Should I drop you off?" She says, "No thanks." Their son sees the drone in the trunk and asks, "Is that for me?" He said, "Unfortunately, no." She told him, "Yes, sweetheart, don't you remember your dad has another house, another woman, and her son? Caring about them and he has no time for you." He said, "Next week you'll have one. Don't be mad, dude." Then we see the wealthy man in the rehab and the manager tells him, "We tried to stop your daughter from alcohol addiction, but her condition was very difficult. Just don't worry, we've handled it." Then she tells him to sign for receiving her, and she'll collect her stuffs and come to you. Meanwhile, the girl is filling the alcohol into the juice bottle she has so that no one suspects anything, and she starts a fire so that the fire alarm goes off and all the employees gather. This way, she can leave without inspection easily, and she goes to her father, then breaks the items in front of the woman in the office as she's leaving. Her father tells the woman, "Sorry, I'll pay for this one too. Don't worry." Then, while she's in the car, her father says to her, "I don't understand what you want or what you're trying to do. We have money and everything you need. I don't get what's missing. You have a million things that need to be done. And in the end, you turned out to be an alcoholic." Then, while he's driving, a woman stands in front of them and they stop before hitting her. She looks strange and he's afraid of her. Then she passes by and he doesn't know she's infected and that this disease will spread further. This happens within a few minutes in the entire series. Then we see them on their way home and they encounter Sergio on the road while he's playing with his second wife's son with a drone. The rich man gets out and tells him, "What's this?" He said, "This is a Russian series with English subtitles and a summary in Egyptian." Then he says, "I need you for a favor, Sergey. My daughter Misha got out of the rehab today. I want you and your wife to come have dinner with me tonight because Misha is going to bother my wife, and I can't take it." And Sergey refuses, saying, "Don't forget that you owe me. Go, I'll be waiting for you, your wife, and your son tonight." He replies, "Okay, we'll come." Then he goes and tells his wife, and she says, No, you must be joking. You know I don't like going to that guy's house. I don't like his wife, and we're not friends. She's not my friend either or someone I get along with. We just don't see eye to eye. And he himself, I don't like him. His laugh is very silly and awkward, and he laughs at lame jokes like those of old-fashioned people. He said, "Please, for my sake." They got ready at night. She dressed up nicely and then they all went out for dinner. He really keeps telling jokes and laughing at them by himself, and in almost every sentence he shows off his money and possessions. He keeps saying, "The meat is fresh from our farms, just freshly delivered." And he says that the whiskey is rare and aged for a long time as well. After that, he calls his daughter Misha from inside, and as she comes out, she teases Anya's son. He gets startled, and then she keeps teasing him by kicking him under the table until he starts feeling strange. He leaves the dinner and gets up, and then the rich man asks them, "He always like this?" She replies, "Like what?" He says, "I know he has a problem and isn't right." She responds, "Have some respect. What's wrong with you?" He said, "Isn't he stupid? He studies at home because he doesn't understand?" She replied, "He's not stupid, and I won't allow you to talk about him like that. He has autism and is aware and understanding of everything, but he doesn't grasp certain things and doesn't connect well with people." Then he laughs and tries to change the subject, asking, "So, how did you two meet?" She replies, "There's nothing much to it. He was going through treatment for depression after his divorce, and I also had problems and met him at the clinic." He asked, "Did he do everything with you while he was depressed?" He continued laughing, and she said, "By the way, this isn't funny. I'm not your friend for you to joke around with me or to talk to me about your money, whiskey, and possessions." Then Sergey tries to lighten the mood and asks, "So, how did you two meet?" His daughter responds, "He must have seen her dancing on a pole or at some nightclub and brought her to us." At this point, the rich man gets angry and kicks her out of the dinner, telling her to leave and not come back. She goes upstairs and starts taking her clothes off. Meanwhile, Anya's son is flying the drone to get it to Misha's room window. Then she watches him until the drone crashes and he gets startled. We return to the dinner scene and the rich man says, "But unfortunately, this kid will be a burden. You'll have to take care of him for the rest of your lives." She responds, "You know what? It was my fault to come here. You don't understand anything except your bank accounts." Then she and her husband left, and she remained upset with him, saying, "I told you I don't like going there, and I'm annoyed by that man." He replied, "Sorry, it's just one day. Let it go." She calms down, and when she steps outside, she finds him deeply engrossed in the news. Then we see the news anchor saying that there's an epidemic spreading, and it's not just 200 people as the government claims. The number has exceeded 2,000. When we talk about a figure like that with an epidemic, it's a disaster. Then they cut off his broadcast. Then we see Sergei's first wife standing on the roof of the building. Scared, she goes into the bathroom and finds an infected person inside. She exits screaming and runs out of the company. Then she goes to her son's school, where they're not allowing parents to enter due to an infected case. They're spraying a disinfectant. They isolate the students, teachers, and everyone inside the school, all wearing masks and suits. Then, the mother calls Sergei's son and asks where he is. He tells her he's hiding and not with them. She then asks him to come to a specific location where she will meet him. The child then comes out in front of her family, gets into an ambulance, and they drive away. Then we see Sergei trying to enter Moscow to get his son and his first wife, but they refuse to let him in. He tells the officer, "I need a word with you privately, officer." He said, "What? Am I a relative or something, you idiot? No one is allowed to enter Moscow right now except for food trucks and humanitarian aid vehicles." Then we see the rich man telling his wife, "Come on, just take your main bag and hurry up so we can leave. Get a move on." He asks his daughter, "Have you gotten dressed or not?" She replies, "What are you talking about? No flights are open. We're not going anywhere." He says, "Let me see." He learns the news and shuts the door on her again, frustrated with himself. Then we see the boy talking to Misha online after she sent him a message saying the world is ending. She sent him a video, and when he opens it, he finds a madman talking, saying that the world is ending. The man explains that there's an epidemic spreading, and those infected are turning into something specific, as shown in the video. He adds that the government claims to be in control and providing treatment, but they're not in control at all. The substance they sprayed on people is just paint to mark them. Then the video ends with the man saying that if the world is still around, follow them for updates as long as the internet is still working. Misha tells him it's very unfortunate that he might die without ever getting married. He responds, "Yes," but then hesitates and asks if she has any other plans regarding this matter. However, the message doesn't go through because the internet cuts off. We then see Sergei asleep, noticing a moving light on the wall. He wakes up startled and goes downstairs with a weapon. He finds his father there and, along with his wife, they wake up together and join him in the kitchen. He says, "That's my father." She replies, "What do you want me to do about it?" He then says, "Okay, what should we do?" He replies, "We'll sleep and leave in the morning." He and his wife go to bed. She tells him, "I know this is what women do, but hug me because I can't sleep." After she falls asleep, he goes downstairs and tells his father, "I'm gonna get my son from Moscow. If I'm not back by morning, leave the place and go." He then leaves. We later see his son and his first wife standing at the door. When the door is knocked, she finds her mother there. When she opens it, she sees her mother with her eyes transformed and looking strange. She starts yelling and pushing her mother, who screams, "Let me in, please!" After she closes the door, her son asks, "Is that my granny?" She says, "No, go inside." She turns up the music, cries so she can't hear her mother, and tries to ignore her, ultimately leading to her and her son's death. Then we see a refrigerated truck entering, and a man is inspecting it to check if there are any people or forbidden items inside. Sergei is hiding inside after offering a bribe to the driver to let him in. Then we return to Anya, who is reading the message Sergei left, saying he's gone. She and her son see Sergei's father standing at the window. They notice people entering the rich man's house, and he lets them in, thinking they are government officials. Then they let them in. Sergei's father realizes something is wrong. Then we see them enter the rich man's house. He says, "Don't you know that the assistant interior minister is my friend?" They reply, "Yes, we know, but we really like this TV." They then beat him, knock him to the ground, and he tells them to stay away from his wife, who is pregnant. They say, "No worries, we'll rape her at our leisure." Then his friend tells him, "Calm down, she's pregnant." The man replies, "Just take the TV and leave." They take the TV and leave. Next, we see someone entering Sergei's house wearing a white robe, firing a gun to intimidate him. He says, "Get you, and you get me. Go back." He responds, "Okay, calm down, old man." Then Sergei's father shoots him in the head, killing him instantly. We see the rapist assaulting the rich man's wife, and the rich man's daughter stabs him in the neck with scissors. He grabs her and starts strangling her, but she pushes him away. As he falls, the scissors are driven deeper into his neck, and he dies. At that moment, Anya's son runs, grabs the rifle that Sergei's father used to kill the intruder, and rushes to the rich man's house. He finds the boy dead on the ground, and the rich man's daughter and wife lying on the floor. In Moscow, where the transport driver drops off Sergei and says, "Wait for me, I'll be back for you." Sergei replies, "We didn't agree that I'd wait." The driver says, "I'll give you extra money." Sergei asks, "And what guarantees that?" The driver gives him some money and says, "Take this for waiting and wait for me to get you out." Then the driver says, 15 minutes and I'll be on my way, let's go." After that, we return to Sergei's house, where his father sees someone entering and says, "I'm coming in unarmed. I'll take my share and be on my way." He says, "All right, hurry up." And then they drive off after picking him up. They go to the rich man's house and find the body of the deceased. The rich man checks on his wife, and the old man says, "Let's go, because they'll come back." Then we see someone knocking on Sergei's first wife's door, and it turns out to be Sergei. She says, "Let me see your eyes," and after confirming he's okay, she lets him in, hugs him, and kisses him. "You love him, so what's the problem?" Then they go down together and find the car abandoned, ransacked, and the driver killed in the back. They quickly get in the car before people come and attack them, and they drive off as they're being shot at. Later, they get out of the chaos and see a military checkpoint with soldiers relaxing and eating. The car with Sergei approaches, and when the soldier opens the trunk, he finds people inside. Sergei then speeds away, and although they shoot at him, they don't manage to hit him. Fortunately, he manages to escape from Moscow with his first wife and son. Then we see one of the thugs beating someone and killing him. Afterwards, another person approaches and says, "Some people have been causing trouble for us." The thug replies, "All right, let's go see what their matter is." Then they start preparing their bags to leave and load them into the car to leave without Sergei. They notice a car approaching, and the old man tells them to hide and grabs his rifle. As he's about to shoot, he sees a truck with his son inside. He asks, "What's this? Did you bring another wife? Well done." His son gets out and joins them. Sergei tells Anya to get warm clothes for his ex-wife, and she goes to fetch them. She also mentions that they have food and drinks, but Anya says it's not important and warns her not to act too kindly because she won't forgive her. They leave, and we see Anya's son standing, monitoring the road. He sees a car approaching and tells them, "Oh no," they come back. Then they see that the approaching car is not from the thugs. After stopping them, a man and his wife get out. The man says, "Guys, my wife is giving birth prematurely and is in severe pain." Then he says, "Show me." Sergei's first wife, holding a rifle, says, "How do we know they're not infected?" She adds, "Even if they're not infected, I'm not going to risk our lives for anyone. Besides, we can't help them. The hospital isn't too far, so move along." Anya looks at her with disgust and says, "What's wrong? Don't you like it? Are you going to act like a saint now?" Then we see Sergei going inside to get oil for the car because they are heading to a distant place for the rich man. He brings it out, and his wife asks him where she and their son should go. He tells her to go with his father. She asks, "And she's the one who decided that?" He replies, "It doesn't matter, it's settled." Then we see them leaving, and the son refuses to leave his father. He insists on going with them, urging them to hurry up. He tries to convince him, but he's reluctant. She goes and tries to force him to come with her, yelling and pulling him while he cries and screams. Anya comes and tells her to stop talking to the boy like that. The wife replies, "None of your business. Are you going to teach me how to talk to my son?" Then Anya gets out of the car and tells him to get in, saying she will take her car and take his grandfather with her. That's exactly what happens. They take 3 walkie-talkies and start moving. Halfway through, they had agreed on one road, but Anya tells them that she will take a different road, saying, "We'll travel for 2 hours through curves and rough terrain. I'll take this road." So she takes the left road, and they have to follow her in silence. The rich man talks to his wife and says that Sergei's first wife is much more beautiful and younger, but Anya is much richer. She replies that it's not about the money. He says, "So why did you marry me? It's all about the money. Even if I'm old, fuck you all." At this time, the thugs are entering the rich man's house and find the boy's body. They start searching the house for anyone else. Meanwhile, we see the muffler of Anya's car emitting strange things. They stop immediately and open the hood to see what happened. They discover that Sergei brought sunflower oil instead of engine oil because he got the wrong type from the shelf and used it. The car needs to be towed to the nearest gas station because the oil has frozen inside it. They say, "Unfortunately, no one has a towing rope." The rich man says, "Unfortunately, I forgot it in the wheel while I was hunting last time." Then the thugs enter the house, find the dead body of the boy, and continue searching the house until they find a tablet with pictures on it. They see the rich man and his wife, along with a photo of the car and its license plate number. They then set out again to search for them, no matter the cost. Then Sergei's father saying that maybe those people have gone back there, so he decides not to go, saying he will go alone. But the rich man says it's his fault, he will go himself. They agree but tell him to hurry and take the radio with him. He agrees and they tell him not to worry. They will take care of his wife and daughter. He insists on taking them with him to feel reassured and comfortable. They agree, even though they are suspicious of the situation, but they go along with it. They see them moving as if it's the last time they will meet. After they leave, Misha asks her father why he didn't help them. He says he saw the tow rope and tells her, "What tow rope? Nonsense." He insists they should continue their road, saying that he is the man had 2 women with him, and it's better to save himself and his family, which is the goal of all they are going through. Then Sergei talks to him on the radio, but the rich man is lost in thought and doesn't respond. They think he has left, but the rich man replies, saying they are on the way. They tell him they are just checking the radio signal. After they take a different road from the house, the woman says she needs to use the bathroom and doesn't want to do it on the road. She goes into the snowy forest. Misha sees the gang's cars approaching and leaves the gun and key, hiding in the forest with her father and the woman. They start running quickly, trying to catch up with them. When they park, they find the same car number as in the pictures and realize it's their car. Misha's father asks if she brought the key. She says no, and he calls her a drunkard. They hide their tracks in a descending area, like a dense forest. The leader tells the soldiers to get out and search for them. The rich man and his family hide under the spot, terrified. The soldiers are frustrated. One of them tells the leader to go down first because it's snowy, or they can go back, take their car, and leave. The leader, angry, says, "Those bastards killed my brother, and I have to take revenge." He orders everyone to go down. Before he finishes his sentence, one of the soldiers shoots him. He falls, bleeding in front of the rich man and his family, and they almost laugh at him for trying to kill them. The one on the ground, who is being beaten by the leader, tells them to surrender. They ask, "What should we say at the base?" They reply that they will say he shot them and they killed him. They kill him too and move on. They sit and find the rich man calling them, saying, "Help us guys, we're stuck and we have a tow rope." He gives them his location, and they are surprised because it's not the way to the house. Then they see they've already left, leaving Sergei's father there with the car. He starts to warm the engine oil while they are gone and finds the rich man. The rich man says this isn't the way to the house. He replies that he took a different route to avoid them and that his wife needed to use the bathroom, which made them lose the car. He says he doesn't have the tow rope, but he mentioned it to get their help. Sergei's first wife asks if he believes this nonsense or not. He was going to leave them and move on, so they shouldn't stay. However, Anya insists it's wrong to think only of themselves and says they shouldn't abandon someone in need. She says, "Okay, Angel, but I'm not going to sacrifice my place and my sons for someone who was going to leave us anyway." They get into the car and they take them to the nearest gas station and leave them there. The rich man tries to hire a car, but while they're waiting, they see people accusing a man wearing glasses, who is outside at night with no sun, of being infected and wearing glasses because he is afraid. The man insists he is fine and not scared, but is shot by someone who then runs away, leaving the man to bleed. Everyone starts running, taking their cars and fleeing. The gas station has no fuel or diesel. The car of the man who was shot was there, but no one dared to approach it because they thought he was infected. The rich man runs to the gas station's door. Inside, he finds a man and says, "Let me in, and I'll give you what you want." The man says, "All right, come in. It's up to God." After they enter, the man offers them a drink and talks to them, saying that the place is secure, and it doesn't matter where he goes because he has enough provisions here and more. Then the man tells his daughter, "How old are you, and what's your name?" Her father notices what's happening and tells him, "Don't get involved with her. She's a child." The man tries to approach and grab her roughly, but the rich man intervenes, and they start panicking, fearing they're gonna die. They see Sergei and his family coming back after his father managed to warm up the engine and drive a bit to the gas station. Sergei decided to save them out of conscience, despite thinking they're scum and don't deserve it. The rich man tells Sergei that the man inside has a tow rope and everything needed but has locked himself inside. Sergei goes in, mocks the man, and hits him. Then they take everything from the place. The rich man tells Sergei, "Did you see, you piece of trash?" This is what happens. They take everything from the place and leave. They find the second wife's son next to the injured man's body and learn that the man wasn't injured but was attacked by someone who hated him. After realizing this, they decide to take the injured man's car, get fuel from the station, and gather all the supplies they need. They leave together, with the rich man making amends. Then the father tells them that there was a boat on a lake with some supplies and suggests they could go there. They ask, "A boat?" He replies, "A well-equipped ship with water and everything." They agree to go, noting that at least no one would think of going to an isolated lake and wonder what they would do there. Then, they heard someone coughing on the radio and thought one of them was infected. They checked all the vehicles and denied that the cough came from them. Eventually, they asked who was coughing, and someone replied, "I'm a stranger with you, and I hacked into your radio transmission and heard everything you said." let's pause here for today and wait to see if you're excited to find out what will happen in the remaining episodes of the series. If you're ready, please let us know in the comments or leave a like so we can start preparing the new summary for you as soon as this video reaches 5,000 likes.